Okay, ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand, join Councilman Case in the pledge to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for the prayer.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings of today, and we humble ourselves before you. And Lord, we pray that your blessings will be on this city council meeting and on the citizens of Guthrie. Lord, how we thank you for all your many blessings and your graciousness towards us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Call to order our Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting, June 5th. Second item on the agenda is public comments. We have a number of individuals that have requested to speak. It looks like it's all on the same issue, and I will just go in order here. Remind each of you that there's a time limit, 5-minute time limit. Stephanie Caulfield. Please state your name and your address.
I'm Stephanie Caulfield. I live 419 North First Street here in Guthrie. I'm talking about our neighbor 415 North First Street in Guthrie. It was on the news, KFOR, this week about a child being abandoned and left by his mother, and he has Asperger's and autism. And we called the code enforcement due to numerous times about the property that she actually violates multiple things. There's a suspect of a deceased animal in the house, which is Article 4, Section 3-45 under Animal Care. She also violates Article 5 under Waste Disposal Section 3-60. Also the nuisance Article 13-1, where the house is actually a public nuisance, and it also the annoyance. It's a public nuisance to the community and the entire neighborhood, and the considerations of the numbers and the extent of the annoyance is damages inflicted on individuals may be unequal. She's also violating Section 13-2, which is the nuisance of usage of the sidewalk, which obstructs traffic, which the Postal Service has to go through our yard to put mail in her mailbox. She also violates Article 2, Section 13-20, which has debris, rubbish, and multiple other equipment and things on her property that's abandoned. She also has abandoned Article 4, Section -40 of abandonment of wrecked and abandoned vehicles. Also Article 6, Section 13-60, which is due to an unoccupied structure, which it has been unoccupied for an extent of 180 days. And also Section 13-63, which is the responsibility of the maintenance of the property. And we also have pictures stating of the property that were taken today. We've called the code enforcement numerous times, and he had stated that it was an open case, but she has 10 days to respond to the property, to the charges that were given against her, and after that it becomes brought up to the city for something to be done on the property. And we've had multiple people call the code enforcement, and all he's told me that it's an open investigation, but still she has not gone to the property. She lives 2 hours away, and she was actually brought up here on child felony charges just a week ago up here to Logan County, and she just has abandoned that whole property and anything to do with it. I have pictures that I can just pass around and you guys can look at it.
That'd be great.
Just start at one end and just let them. Okay. I would, it appears that all 4 individuals requesting to speak today are speaking on the same issue. And I would remind you that since it isn't an agenda item, that there will be no discussion, there will be no decision by the city council. We're here just listening, so we appreciate your input, but understand that since it isn't an agenda item, there will not be any kind of decision.
It's just that of the dilapidated the structure and inside, it has cat feces and urines. It's been contained in the house, but it's seeping out, and the neighbors can't even go outside their yard. And it also is also a hazard for individuals, that the strong ammonia smell will actually inflict E. coli and toximosis later on in individuals. And also the ammonia will also have severe allergic reactions in humans. And also the high ammonia levels will cause dangerous diseases like pneumonia and bronchitis. So we're trying to bring it up to the code enforcement, and he states that he doesn't smell, but it's, now that it's getting warm out, the house has been contained and locked up, but it's not a proper structure, that there's some aluminum, there's no aluminum siding, there's just exposed wood, broken windows that are just taped up. Everything is just like, she took out what she wanted and left it just to sit there and rot.
You have 30 seconds, Mrs. Caulfield.
I'm just trying to.
I understand.
So those pictures were taken today.
Okay.
And we did see somebody from the city come in, investigate the property, but they knew we were coming today to just make it well aware, because we are on the Red Brick District.
Okay.
We're on First Street.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much for your input. Patrick Caulfield, and I would just ask if you have some additional information to give us. If it's the same information, we've already heard that, and we
It's a
appreciate
little more
that.
personal. She
Okay.
had, my name's Patrick Caulfield, and I also live at 419 North First Street here in Guthrie. My big issue is, even though code enforcement says that they do not smell it, when the wind is right, if I came out last Friday, I stepped out my door and was an overwhelming cat feces or feces smell. I had to get back in the house before I threw up, and then hold my breath and ready myself to lock the door and get my vehicle and get out of the driveway. It is that bad. This house is contained, but in the right wind and the right conditions, it is, you cannot go outside.
Is there still animals in this house? Is that what I'm hearing?
No. If you see the pictures, you'll know what.
Yeah.
I mean, the police report says it all. So I wish I would have brought a copy of that. The house is unlivable. There's been no electricity. The house was actually abandoned on November 27th of last year. We know our neighbors very well. We're all a real tight area on that block. So we saw her Easter in person and asked her what if she was going to take some stuff out of the house. And it had meanwhile been abandoned since November. We did not know the actual condition inside the house until the news video. So we asked her if she was taking some stuff out, and she said that she was not ever going back in that house, and she had no intentions of going in there. She had everything she wanted, and if someone broke in, she didn't care. And that is exactly what she told us, flat out. And so we know the structure is empty and vacated. There's a abandoned vehicle in the driveway, abandoned motorcycle out front that somebody, I believe, has gone through because it's in pieces on the porch now. But this person has no intentions of coming back. So we are tired of smelling it and looking at it. I mean, we look at this right outside our door, and we just like something done.
Okay.
So anyway, thank you for letting us speak. I appreciate it. So whatever we have to do, or if we have to go through other channels to get the homeowner to do something, we're up for suggestions.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mary Matthews. Can state your name and your address, please.
My name is Mary Matthews, and I live at 416 North First Street. I'm also representing my, I rent, and I'm representing my landlord as well in this issue. I live directly across the street from the house in question. It's an eyesore. And I, from across the street, can catch a whiff of the stench coming onto my patio, so I can't enjoy the front porch. And I've spoken in the police report that I've read that the officer said that he fell through the floor and he was he was gagging. He had so much trouble. Had we known that the minor was in that house at the time, we would have done something, but we did not know because the house was always dark. And so the main issue for all of us is that it is an eyesore. We know that she's not coming back to take care of this property. She's married and now living in 2 hours south of here. And it's an overall nuisance for everybody. So that's why we're here, and we just want to get this started. And the office, I mean, when you've got your own city representative saying that they will not go back into the house because of the stench, and that was in November, imagine what it's like now. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Elena Banta?
Hello,
Hello.
my name's Elena Banta, and my husband and I just bought the house at 420 North First. We just moved in at the beginning of April. My family's from Guthrie. I grew up outside of Logan County, or outside of Guthrie in Logan County. My family was the Brosses from the Tom's family. Woo, excuse me, mister. You'll be upset, but all
Is
right.
the teen still living there? Surely
He's a
not.
mama's boy.
Teen was left to live.
Yeah, so we've been trying to get out to Guthrie for years, and when we found this house on First Street on the beautiful brick road, fell in love. The only problem was that house across the street. It was definitely a concern of mine. What's the story there? Completely ran down, seemed abandoned. I love the house, I love the street, I love the neighbors, bought it. And then we started learning more and more about what had taken place with the child neglect charges and it being abandoned. And it was all very upsetting to hear. I'm a little nervous, excuse my.
You're doing fine.
So, as just a homeowner, I'm concerned about it because of property values, having just invested in this home. I'd like to see the property maybe be purchased by somebody who can clean it up, make it a nice addition to our neighborhood. When we went through all the paperwork to buy our house, and they went through all of the homes in the area to see how they compared, it was definitely the one bringing everything down. All the houses around there are so cute, so well taken care of. Again, it's on the brick road. We just love it. But very concerned about the property values and the health concerns. Having my 2 boys, as you hear, and I have a third as well who's not with me today. But the summer heat, the smell, I worry about other animals getting in. There's holes in the roof. I worry about, it seems like I know it's a great town. I know there's not a lot of, transient people coming in and out, but I don't know. Somebody could just get in there, live there, do whatever they wanted in there, and it just doesn't seem very safe. So now that I'm hearing more about the story and I'm learning more, I'm definitely concerned and just wanting to come here today to support my neighbors and make sure that something gets done about it as soon as possible, please.
Okay.
All right.
Thank-
I'll get back to him. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And thanks to all of the individuals that spoke out. Obviously, the city has a process. We have staff that enforce codes and look at dilapidated structures, and you've already spoken to them, and I can assure you that a process is in place. Again, no decision is coming from the council today, and you all understand that. But we do appreciate your situation, and we do appreciate your input. Thank you all very, very much. We have a proclamation that I would like to read. Is Miss Lane here?
Yes.
Hello. Guess you are accepting this.
Yes, thank you.
Good. Right here. Okay. And do you have a speech that you want to give?
Yeah, so I
Go
can
ahead.
go ahead if,
Go
okay,
ahead.
perfect. So I work with Forward.us, and we are working across Oklahoma, but also across the United States to really just promote diversity this month. So this is the 5th year for Immigrant Heritage Month. So we just want to say thank you for participating. Tulsa and Oklahoma City have participated, so we've been kind of trying to get some of the other cities to participate. So thank you.
Good. Well, I will go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas generations of immigrants from every corner of the globe have helped build our country's economy and created a unique character of our nation. Whereas immigrants continue to grow businesses, innovate, strengthen our economy, and create American jobs in Oklahoma. Whereas immigrants have provided the United States with unique social and cultural influence, fundamentally enriching the extraordinary character of our nation. Whereas immigrants have been tireless leaders, not only in securing their own rights and access to equal opportunity, but have also campaigned to create a fair and social and just society for all Americans. And whereas, that's my timer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're out of time.
You're out of time. You're out of time.
I was gonna take care of it.
Yeah, we can fix it. That'll take care of that
I'm sorry about that. And whereas the role of immigrants in building and enriching our nation can never be overlooked or undervalued as a significant contribution throughout our history and continuing to the present day. Now, therefore, I, Stephen J. Gentling, Mayor of the City of Guthrie, do hereby proclaim June 2018 as Immigrant Heritage Month.
Thank you. Thank
There
you
you
so
go.
much.
Thank you. Mhm. Okay. Turn this off first. Item number 3, a consent agenda. We have just one item on the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes of Public Works Authority meeting of May 15th. I'll entertain a motion in a
So
second.
moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes? Unanimous approval to accept and approve those minutes. Item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve change order number 1, reducing the contract amount by $99,710 for the Cottonwood Creek Raw Water Intake Dam project. Staff comments?
I'll start out with an overview. I guess first, we now have 2 intake pipes that we can draw water out of Cottonwood Creek, and they are functioning. When this project originally started, the city was looking at constructing a dam across Cottonwood Creek, and the cost estimate was $1,654,000. As part of the research and site work, there was a scar hole found that could be utilized kind of like a well in the creek that would provide water if we lowered one intake pipe and then extended a second one out into that scar hole. To do that, our original cost estimate with engineering, buying the property, total project was $865,360. So that was a saving of about $754,000. With all the change orders and things you're doing tonight, the amended budget will be $899,808. So the project is $34,000 more than the original estimate, or a 4% increase. And some of that increase is a result on the other side of the bank. We have to keep it from washing out to protect that scar hole that if you get a heavy rain, doesn't wash it out. When we originally looked at the project, we thought that the Corps of Engineers would be more restrictive, but they weren't, and allowed us to put more on the other side to protect that scar hose. So that's part of the increased cost. On the first change order, that's the item the mayor just read, the original contract was $298,800. And work removed from the contract and that will be moved to the phase two to finish up was a deduct of $21,910. Liquidated damages of 64 days was a deduct of $76,800. And then there was a door that was damaged that will cost us $1,000, so that was deducted. So the change order is a deduct of $99,710. So the amended contract went from $298,800 down to $199,090. And I can stop there if you want to take action on the first one, and I'll explain the other items.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to move to,
Any questions?
I'm going to make a motion on 4 to approve.
Okay, I have a
Second.
motion and a second.
Yep.
Are there any questions? Submit your votes.
All votes are in?
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to move with that change order number 1, reducing the contract by $99,710. Item number 5, continuation.
On phase two, originally, our cost estimate was $818,000 and then 35,000 contingency, so 153,000. Well, we added some of the work that wasn't finished in phase one that we subtracted out. We added more riprap on the other side. We added an access point because from the other side, we could easily get to one of the intake pipes, but the one closer to the other bank, we didn't have good access, so we improved that access. So the bid is $416,543, and that includes the base bid and alternate 1 and alternate 2. And so the total that we will be awarding is $416,543.25. But immediately following this, we will do a change order of the negative 119,463, and the
Off of the
Jordan-
416?
yes, which would take that contract down to $297.80. And the reason we're deducting the 119, the primary thing is we're taking some of the riprap out, but the major thing, there's about $86,000 for a road, and we can do that in-house and spend about $20,000 in materials in lieu of paying a contractor $86,000 to do that. And that's what the next item will be, is a change order to take that out.
Reducing
Okay.
it by 119,000.
Correct.
So let me ask a question. Go ahead, Steve, I'm sorry.
Well, and that has to do with us doing most of the work for the gravel road and.
Correct.
I say us, the city,
Yes.
doing most of it rather than doing it by contract.
Correct.
Go ahead, Brian.
So we've been working on this for some 3 years now. And we've approved multiple scenarios, as you know. Then you found a crack in the creek and fell in, and now we got a scar hole. Okay, so where are we at, really? I mean, what's our total on this deal? Because I'm real confused by, I mean, we're throwing these numbers around, but I don't see a total out the door.
Okay, the original cost estimate, once we decided not to build the dam, and we backed off, and we're just doing the intake pipes to the scar hole.
Right.
And stabilizing the bank.
With the riprap
Was
and all that.
$865,000.
Right.
Buying the land, engineering, everything.
Right.
Now, with the changes we're doing tonight, it will be $899,000. So it went up 34,000 or 4% over the original estimate.
That's
But how
after
did
the
it go up?
deductions.
How did it go up after we're reducing
We've
120 grand
added
here and
riprap.
80 grand there?
Well, we are adding additional riprap
Okay.
and other things to the other side of the project that we originally didn't have in.
So how does council get to go out and inspect what we're doing out there? I've never been out there. I know I tried at one point, it's locked up at Broadway, you can't access it?
If, when we had, the election last year and did the tour for new councilmen, we took them out to the site. If there are councilmen that haven't been out there that would like to see it, if they'll let us know, we'll make arrangements
I'd like
take
to.
them out. Okay. We'd
I'd like
like
to
to
go
take you
again.
out. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see it again also.
Just
since
drop
it's
me,
something like-
drop me a text or an email
Okay.
and who all wants to go, and then we'll make
All right.
arrangements.
Well, this is something that for sure has to be done, or else we're going to end up with screaming citizens all over because the water stinks and it's horrible and you can't drink it. Although we know that that's a lot of the pipes that are going on, but this, you know, it also contributes to it.
It clearly gives us a third supply of water.
Right.
And a good supply. Now, there was also some changes with the Army Corps, as I understood from the documents that we were given, that allows us to add the riprap that we didn't think we were able to in the past. Is that correct? Do you want to speak to this? Man that fell into the hole
Yeah,
that
to
created
make-
this whole thing?
Yes, what allowed us to go ahead and improve the project drastically over what the original budget was, which was involved minimizing the project impacts, which is part of the reason why I fell into the scour hole, was because we were looking at alternative designs to not have to construct a concrete dam. We found another solution. While we were talking with the Corps, we had a determination made that the ordinary high water mark would be considered the vegetation line, which when you go out there and visit the site, you're going to see it's very close to where the normal base flow is. Instead of a lot of the times when you deal on these projects, it's the top of the bank. They consider the ordinary high water line, which would be 30 feet above where the water flows normally. So when they made that determination, it allowed us to go ahead and say, okay, we can do a little bit more armoring, do a little bit more riprap to provide a little better protection, and we also incorporated an access road to be able to access the pipe that is out there in the scour hole to be able to get equipment down there. Whereas when we thought we were going to be constrained due to environmental reasons, we just had the riprap and then really had a minimal amount of riprap, would have required more maintenance, and did not facilitate easy access to that pipe.
So the overall project was enhanced significantly, if you will. Access was enhanced, certainly riprap was enhanced for a very minimal amount increase of cost. What did you say, 30,000?
34.
$34,000.
So if I could,
The product is much better.
it's a better product for $34,000, and for residual costs down the road, years will be a lot less, is what you're saying. I mean, the maintenance fees over the years will be less, so this will pay for itself.
And the ability to access it too, should a log jam or debris become accumulated and be causing an issue, now we have access points to where what would have taken days to clear now can be done in hours.
So when we were originally looking at the dam, and then I'm going to be quiet on this deal, but the first phase of the dam that we were talking about wasn't a long-term solution. That's why we had to move it up to the 1.6 million or whatever, because that was the long-term solution. Then you found the crack, found the hole. Is this the long-term solution?
Yes,
This is 900 grand.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Okay,
it is, and
that's
it's
all I
still
wondered.
and it's still cheaper than the dam.
Right, no, I understand that.
And what we've done is we're stabilizing that, which if you look at the creek through there, you can go look at Google Earth imagery, and it is migrating away from that dam right there, because that dam kind of projects out into the creek. So when the creek comes up, starts flowing, you know, the water's trying to rush around that riprap there. It gets a little bit more turbulent through there. It's eating away that bank there. Now we're shaving that bank back to a 5-to-1, and so where to today, when you go out there and you'll see it, the guy who's bush hogging out there, he's very brave because he's mowing right next to a vertical cliff,
Right.
by the creek. So
Okay.
What about time to complete? Is that any different than what it would have been with the dam or?
this one, 90 days. We're looking at 3 months if the weather cooperates on this, and we have a contractor in there with enough.
But in the
equipment
meantime,
to
we're
work
still
with.
taking flow out of there, right? We're still pulling
Yes,
water.
we are utilizing the intake structure
Okay.
right now.
Now, is there also enough in there to pump up to push to Liberty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's been able. They can operate it when they need to right now, and it's at all times. There isn't a time that a pipe isn't submerged anymore.
So they could actually pump from there to Liberty, and then when it gets full, it could overflow to Guthrie, right?
All the piping is connected that you could gravity from Liberty over to Guthrie.
Right.
Yes, that is possible. They don't pump up there this time of year because the nutrient loading in the Cottonwood Creek pumping during the hot time of the year is prone to cause algae blooms in the lake. But during the winter time, you're able to pump up there to the lakes to get your storage up in the winter time.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, can you explain this hole?
You weren't here.
I wasn't there,
No
apparently.
explanation on the
Explain the
hole.
hole.
There was an existing dam that was constructed across the creek, and it backed it up to an old intake structure. It's still standing, and you can see where the racks were that used to take this water in. Well, over time, that dam was constructed with earthen material in the middle of Cottonwood Creek, and we've all seen how Cottonwood Creek floods. Well, eventually it failed around the north abutment and started washing away, and gradually over time it just ate away, got eaten away more and more, to where now it's just kind of meandered right around the old dam remnants. Well, right there where that old dam remnants are projecting out in the creek, it's got some rocks and stuff there, and that water going through there has created a scour hole right there, and it's a little bit deeper. I mean, if you step off there, you'll go over your head, so.
Which you did.
Pretty close, pretty close.
It's a big, great place.
All right.
Noodle.
Okay, thank you very much for that information. We are still at item number 5, and I will take a motion in a second to take that, to award that bid.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Submit your votes. Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to award bid number 2018-03, Phase 2 for the Cottonwood Creek Raw Water Intake to Young Construction. Item number 6, this was the second item that Leroy had already addressed. This is the change order to this Phase 2 that allows a reduction of $119,000, basically because the city is going to be doing much of the work.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to move with change order number 1 to Phase 2 of the intake project bid number 2018-03. With that, the Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting is adjourned. And I call to order our city council meeting of June 5th. The second item on the agenda is our consent agenda items A through H. A is the approval of the city council meeting of May 15th. B is the approval of the automatic aid agreement between Guthrie and Coyle. C is the approval of the automatic aid agreement between Guthrie and Crescent. D is the approval of the automatic aid agreement between Guthrie and Oak Cliff Fire District. E is the approval of the automatic aid agreement between Guthrie and the Sooner Volunteer Fire Department. F is the approval of the city and county civil defense agreement between the city of Guthrie and Logan County Board of Commissioners. G is the approval of the request from Raymond Sullivan for lump sum payment for retirement. And H is the approving the denial of tort claim number 204766-ME as was recommended by OMAG.
So on I guess it would be A through, on the A through E, I guess is what it would be. It would be
E through E?
directed towards Eric. This is the standard of what it is every year, right?
No, these
It's
are
different?
actually, these are automatic aid agreements where if we get a structure fire or a grass fire within certain geographical areas laid out in those agreements, both departments will automatically be sent. And the main thing in doing that is we get more insurance credit on our grading. So it could equal potentially lower homeowner insurance and commercial insurance rates by doing this. And it just ensures that there's two departments being dispatched on all structure fires is the main thing.
It's an automatic, they automatically go. They don't have to wait for a call from us, or we don't have to wait for a call from them.
Yep, the dispatcher will send both departments.
When they're in that particular district, which is identified, the districts weren't listed in our
They're listed
documents,
out
but,
verbally and
yeah.
spelled out.
Yes. Yep.
And it's reciprocal, so they'll come help us, we go help them, which 90% of the time when both departments are going anyway, but they're having to manually be requested, where now those.
Just dispatched.
Okay. And this will be a positive for citizens on their homeowners insurance, fire insurance?
Yeah, it will help bring our total score down on our next ISO grading, which determines insurance rates.
Very good. Any other questions?
Anyone here on the tort claim there?
Is anybody representing the individuals on the tort claim, Steve or Mary Beth Cravens? No? Okay. I will entertain a motion in a second then for the consent agenda items.
So moved. Second. One of us.
We got stereo going on. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval of consent agenda items A through H. Item number 3, discussion possible action to authorize staff to solicit bids for fire department storage building project. Staff comments.
This is a work in progress. We've got some updated cost estimates since the one that was attached in your agenda packet, so you can ignore it. There were some items that weren't in the original one that was worked up. Turnkey construction, it's a 5,470 square foot, both buildings attached to each other. Eric did a good job, I think, in the staff report explaining the need for this building so that we have a place to store our equipment so it's not stored outside. If we were to contract this out to contractor, it would be estimated $422,814 or $77 a square foot. We are going to use city crews, fire department personnel, and public works to do portions of the project and act as our own prime contractor. That will, at a minimum, reduce that 422 to 297 or $54 a square foot. We think that will come down some more as we visit with the architect and refine the parts that we're doing in-house. But tonight, we just want your permission to go forward to seek the bids, and then when we get the bids, we'll bring a final project to you for approval. But we need to get the bids out so that we can get final numbers on some of this to bring back to you for actual approval.
So has the whole overall plan changed from what it was on our packet? Because I remember it being 80-some thousand, not 400.
The architect had left out a significant part. He had the building construction stuff in there, but he didn't have some of the site work numbers in. So Kenny and myself and Leroy met with him and Myers a few weeks ago and made sure we had everything included in there.
So now we have a full package.
So how are we paying for this one?
This would come out of the CIP sales tax, capital improvement sales tax.
And we've discussed that as a part of the sales tax, one of the sales tax projects, but.
I don't remember it, but I know we need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember that being on the top 10, anywhere on the top 10.
No, but I know we discussed that at our retreat, I know.
Yeah.
We discussed the need.
Well, I know
for
we need it.
storage buildings, especially for the fire department. And you got expensive equipment that's out in the elements. We need to protect it.
Well, and I understand, you got ambulances, you know, we've got stuff in those ambulances that can't,
Sure.
we shouldn't allow to be penetrated
Right.
at all.
Yep.
So,
Okay, I will entertain a motion in a second to authorize the staff.
moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to authorize the staff to solicit bids for a storage building for the fire department.
Mayor, I think it's a great idea too, because I know about the other things we're gonna discuss tonight in executive session. Leroy's right on that as well. So.
Item number 4, discussion possible action to confirm nomination of Danny Smith, Charlie Lau, Larry Van Cadre to the Guthrie Parks Board for 2 years, 2-year terms.
so moved?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval for Danny Smith, Charlie Lau, Larry Van Cadre to continue on with the Parks Board for 2 years. Item number 5, discussion, possible action for the appointment of Roberta Burns, Charlie Lau, and Michael Fries to the Forestry Advisory Board for new 3-year terms.
So moved.
They're all,
Did we take action on the Parks Board?
yes,
Okay, can we back up for a minute? Y'all went too fast for me.
okay?
On the Park Board appointments, the ordinance actually says that their term is up at the first regular city council meeting in June of the year their term terminates. So instead of being June 30th, 2020, it should be June 2nd, 2020. So could we approve it with that change date?
So modified to be June 2nd, 2020
Okay, who was
termination.
the second?
I'll second, or who, well, from you.
Will you accept that modification for the second?
Yes.
Okay, we have the modification of the term expiring June 2nd instead of June 30th, 2020. Any other discussion? Submit your vote.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval of that change in the motion and the second for item number 4.
On the Forestry Advisory Board, same thing. It is on the first meeting in June or the first Tuesday. So that date should be June 1st, 2021 instead of June 30th.
So modified June 2nd, 2021?
No,
June
June
1st.
1st. This
June
is June 1st. The other one was June 2nd.
Okay.
2020.
All right, June 1st, 2021.
Yep. And who seconded that?
I did.
Will you accept that?
Yes, I will.
That,
Yep.
that change? Okay, any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
Unanimous approval for those nominations with the change to June 1st, 2021 for the expiration of the 3-year terms. Item number 6, discussion and possible action to nominate Aaron Brown to the Historic Preservation Commission for a 3-year term.
And on there, we'd like to change that to March 31st instead of May, so that we can get them all appointed at the same month, just staggered years, make it easier to administrate.
Okay?
So we'd
So
like that
moved.
to be March.
Second.
I have a motion and a second with that change to March 31st. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
Votes are in.
See the votes. Unanimous approval to appoint Aaron Brown to the Historic Preservation for 3 years through March 31st, 2021. Item number 7, discussion possible action to appoint Tommy Wageman to at-large position for the CVB for unexpired term through September 30th, 2018, and Kalen Swanger for an unexpired term through September 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Not hearing any changes of those dates.
No.
Okay. Motion and a second. Submit your votes, please.
All votes are in.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to appoint Tommy Wageman and Kalen Swanger to the CVB. Item number 8. Discussion.
On number 8, real quick, prior to you reading it, I wanted to make a quick comment.
Okay.
Is that I still do not agree that a planning commissioner should have voting rights on Board of Adjustment, period.
I agree.
I don't think it's
I
right.
also-
I understand your point and your understanding of it, but I still don't think that's accurate. And so
And your rationale is?
my rationale is that I'm in front of planning, working to get something approved. It's turned down, and I go see the same person that turned it down and I understand that that shouldn't be the case, but it's been the case ever since
And I
I've been
can't
in this
help
town.
what happened before.
Right.
But that's not the way it's supposed to work.
I understand.
And that's the way it won't
I
work.
hear what you're saying, but if there was another person sitting in your chair, they might not agree with you.
Well, Brian, I went back and looked at a number of documents to kind of see what happens on appeal process from planning. And I went back to my orientation book. And the orientation book says that appeals for the planning go to the city council.
I understand that. And
So they don't go to the Board of Adjustment.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. So how they got there in the past is through city management, okay, and their theory of how that plan is supposed to work.
Well, how do we ensure
That's what I hope
that
we
the
can.
process works the way it's supposed to work? I
If
guess?
we can do that, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I just want it to be fair to everybody.
Okay, so I know we're discussing this before we take this up for a vote, but
Right.
I guess what we're asking is a confirmation by city staff of the process of appeals of items that are seen before planning. Because, again, what I read is the appeal goes to the city council, to us, and what you're hearing and what you have experienced is that it went to Board of Adjustments.
And it did, and it went there through management. And so my question is, how did all these managers misinterpret this thing?
One of the things that may have happened is in 2002, there was an ordinance adopted, and up to that time, under the uses listed in Article 4, uses permitted after review, those went to the Board of Adjustment. But in 2002, there was an ordinance adopted that moved that particular item over to the Planning Commission and give them the authority to act on uses for permits after review. That may have confused some people because they changed the process. But once they changed the process, when those go to the Planning Commission for a special permit after a review, then the appeal should have been to the City Council, not to the Board of Adjustment.
Yeah, because my understanding is the Board of Adjustment should only be hearing zoning issues.
So going forward, that's how it's gonna be handled. It's gonna come to city council.
And not
Okay.
zoning, Board of Adjustments
Zoning.
does
Zoning,
variances,
variances on zoning, right?
no, just variances on
Here.
things like setback. Zoning goes to Planning Commission.
Okay.
But Board of Adjustments does variances, exceptions, exceptions to off-street parking, and there is no appeal. They're the final decision at the city level on those items, and if you appeal it, it goes to district court. The Planning Commission is also the zoning commission, and they deal with zoning. They deal with special review of things permitted after review. When you look at the zoning book, there's things granted permitted by right, and there's things that are granted permit after review. They review those. They also are involved in development of the comprehensive plan, review of subdivision plans, and a review of requests to close public easements or right-of-ways. Anything that goes to them then comes forward to city council because they are only an advisory board, and whereas the Board of Adjustments is more of a judicial board.
Right, on setbacks only.
Correct.
Okay, so we shouldn't have an issue where it ever gets misplaced with these boards again, although it has through multiple managers in the past.
It has become kind of the standard of practice, I guess, if you will, unfortunately.
Right.
But I think, as I was doing a little research, and we went back, like I said, to my the orientation book, and it says right there that the appeals go to the city council. Appeals to planning to the city council.
And as long as it works like this, I agree that I don't have a problem with the same people being on
Right.
both boards. In fact, it probably would help because they are more familiar with all the things that go on in town in that respect of codes and setbacks and permitting and zoning. So as long as it stays like that, I don't have a problem with them on the same boards at that
How do we
point.
assure it stays like that?
Keep a good city manager.
There you go.
We'll have good minutes of this meeting.
All right, well, I'm going to make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion. We are on item number 8. This is a nomination of Vern Ogden, Sue DeSharm, and Mike O'Neill, Catherine Porter to the Board of Adjustments for 2-year terms. Is that date correct?
Yes.
Okay. And we have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Submit your votes, please.
All those are in?
let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to appoint Vern Ogden, Sue Ducharme, Michael O'Neill, and Catherine Porter to the Board of Adjustments for 2 years.
And I talked to Mike tonight, and he didn't, I talked to him before I got here, and he said his term was up. He didn't realize that he was being reappointed tonight, I guess.
He's submitted a nomination.
Well, that, yeah,
application.
he did. He said he did, but he didn't realize it was tonight.
Item number 9, City Manager Report.
I have no report tonight.
Okay. Item number 10 is comments from City Council. Councilman Bothroyd, let's start with you.
I have no comments this evening.
Okay. Councilman Smedley?
Just thank staff, thank you other council members, thank you public for coming and voicing your concerns. And we just made a proclamation about Immigration Week, and I think there's a lot of stuff going on in this country that is pretty concerning with that, specifically children being ripped from their families.
Okay. Councilman Case?
I don't have any comments, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Councilman Taylor?
Andrea, nobody said anything, but I'm gonna say it. I appreciate your hard work for the last few years you've been here. I've only known you for a couple of years, I guess about 4 years, I guess. Sorry to see you go, but I understand why you're going, and I talked to you about it one time. I said I knew we'd lose you someday. But I appreciate what you've done and all the hard work you put in, so congrats on your new job. And
Ditto.
how about that Cowboy golf team?
Yeah.
There's somebody who's missing tonight that I'd like, well, I'll just leave it at that. I'm sure he's watching, so go Pokes.
Yeah. Councilwoman Paget?
No comment, thank you.
Okay. Vice Mayor Wood?
I would also like to say, if Jeff hadn't, I'm glad he said it, but Andrea, thank you very much for all your help over the years and everything. You've been gracious and always helpful, and good luck and Godspeed in your new job and where you're going, and thanks for being here with us. Had a great, Red Brick Nights. It was crowded when I drove by the other night. It was really good, so. But anyway, thanks staff and everything for all you do. Tenny, thank you. And Chiefs, Rebecca.
For those in the viewing audience, I think Andrea actually is going to be with us for one more city council meeting, I think. When is this your last one?
It's Fridays.
Oh, Friday's your last. Yeah. Andrea is moving on to other opportunities and other challenges. She has served the city, the citizens, and the leadership of the council and city manager extremely well in a number of different capacities, and we do greatly appreciate that. Obviously, Director of Tourism is her existing position, and she'll be in it for another week, I guess. But we do greatly appreciate all the things that you've done in all of your capacities here. You've done a super job. Tenny, summertime, and with the summer comes growing grass. And I just want to say, I've seen your crew already out there mowing and taking care of, I grouse a little bit, taking care of my little patch of ground, but taking care of 400 plus acres of parks that you guys have, and all the boulevards that you have up and down the roads in town, coming into town. A tremendous job that probably people just take for granted. So please thank those staff that are doing that, Verdell and all of the staff. They just do a really super job keeping us looking nice.
And the sign looks good out south, too.
And the new sign entering Guthrie from the south looks really great. Red Bricks Nights, another huge success. Of course, the weather was fantastic. Councilman Bothroyd tried to take responsibility for the weather, but did a good job.
What are you talking about?
For Red Brick Nights.
Ah.
Yeah.
You like that weather I gave you?
You did good. The library, again, they talk about the library on steroids. I talk about the library on steroids. Their summer program for youth, for teenagers, and for adults. Just fantastic things going on in our library right here in Guthrie, America. And I guess congratulations to the Guthrie Tomorrow Coalition, the group that is working on the Publisher Museum building, and Lynn Bilodeau and all that group that's doing a great job in taking at least initial steps to bring that back to a spectacular building, a spectacular museum, and I think there's an activity June 27th at 9:30 at the publishing building, where there's going to be kind of a handoff between the state and this.
Doesn't that correlate? That's a Wednesday, isn't it? Doesn't that correlate with the chamber coffee?
It's
And they're
the
going to have
chamber-
it there.
That's where the chamber coffee is going to be
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah. So everybody needs to be there for that.
It'd be a great thing. Dr. Blackburn from the State Historical is going to be there. And again, it's not a done deal.
What date?
I think it's the 26th.
27th?
Is it the 27th?
27th? 27th at 9:30, 2nd and Harrison.
It's a Wednesday, chamber coffee.
Chamber coffee. It'll be at 9:30.
Planet.
And so it'd be a great thing for all of the city to participate in. This is a really positive step for us and in our history. So congratulations again to the Guthrie Tomorrow Coalition and Lynn Bilodeau and that whole group, because they've been working. I've been watching them. They're loading bricks and hauling stuff out, and they're doing a lot of manual labor just to get the place starting phase of getting it ready.
So we may have to notice of a quorum on that deal, maybe.
Yeah.
And again, just looking for some volunteers. We're still looking for a volunteer for CVB, and I think we've got open items for a library also. So if you're interested in getting more engaged directly in your community, in your city, those are two boards that are still open. So please consider that. Item number 11. Approval to convene into executive session for purpose of discussing the Fraternal Order of Police and their negotiations, as well as purchase and appraisal of two different pieces of property.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion of that? Submit your votes.
All vote, sir.
Let's see the votes. Unanimous approval to move into executive session. See you all